Many stories start with a hero, the person that we will follow through thick and thin, through trial by fire. But sometimes on that heroic journey, when the opposition they face reaches its apex, the hero may stray from their original path. This isn't a super common trope, but it does happen, and it's something I like to call the hero's stumble. It's a trope we see most recently exhibited in Attack on Titan Final Season and My Hero Academia Season 6 with their protagonists Eren and Deku. These are two characters that are incredibly different, as you can probably tell, but that's kinda the point. Two sides of the same coin, if you will. And it all starts with building your hero from the beginning. Both Deku and Eren start rather small, all things considered. Deku is at the bottom of the hierarchy of his respective society, a normal person in a world of superpowers. Eren was hardly any different. He was tenacious, but really all talk when he got down to it. And then, by chance, they both end up having incredible power. And even though they don't know it, that power will only become even more incredible. But at that moment, they are ordinary people endowed with a unique strength that basically shoves them into the plot. The story then revolves around what they must do with that power. Eren is basically brought right into the action the moment Pixis catches wind of what he can do. And when that power ends up putting him out of commission, it is through his sheer will to fight on that he manages to secure humanity's first ever victory against the Titans. During his battles against Annie and Reiner, he has to acknowledge that he is completely ignorant of their motives and he has to fight anyway. This is what defines him early on. He is small and ignorant of the world around him, with only the choices to lie down and die or fight with everything he has. In Deku's case, his hero's journey is a bit more literal, with him actually wanting to become a real superhero, someone who can save everyone. And we see him chase this ideal at every meaningful confrontation. His fight against Todoroki is more about saving him from his trauma rather than winning the fight. His many fights after this follow a similar theme, whether it's against Stain, Muscular, Chisaki, etc. All of his major fights are in the context of saving someone else, not just taking down the bad guy. In both the cases of Eren and Deku, they are given the power to act on their true selves, and thus their incredible actions can truly define them at their core. And once the hero is built up, once Deku's will to save and Eren's will to fight are readily established to the viewer, what's next? Next, the hero may stumble. With Eren being so heavily defined by his ignorance for much of the series, it is only natural that a great shift in his character comes from being educated. When he learns about the world and the people he is fighting, he is forced to reconsider his approach. These are people just like him, but many of them also want nothing more than to kill him and destroy everything he loves. He sees no option for peace, and so he goes on a new path. One that will make full use of the power he has to completely change everything. Deku, meanwhile, is a character that has been built up through his self-sacrificial nature. The catalyst for his stumble is bearing witness to those he cares about getting hurt. So in his mind, why should he see that? He's the one with the greatest power in the world. No one should have to bear the burden of ending the fight against All for One except for him. And so he leaves. He takes on the burden himself. Now, I initially described the hero's stumble as a straying from their original path, but that's not quite true. In actuality, it's a deepening of the path, a submission to their base characterization. My Hero Academia is very explicit about this fact, with one of the predecessors saying the manifestation of his new abilities has allowed him to act on his primary motivation. And this is similarly the case with Eren. With him seeing the fight as his only option, he chases the ultimate potential of his power, the Founding Titan. A godlike power that could solve everything for him, that could allow him to continue the fight and win. For both Deku and Eren, their stumble is the natural progression of what we see from them in their earliest accomplishments. What drives them is the same, but their power has grown. And it really does come down to power. It's part of what makes this trope so compelling. With many protagonists in a series around fighting, the goal is to become stronger. Hell, we even see this with Deku and Eren as they train their abilities. But once they have the power they need or they have the means of acquiring it, the struggle is no longer about how can they beat the bad guy and win the day. The struggle becomes about what they do with the incredible gift that they are bestowed. What will they show us? What actions will ultimately define them in their most harrowing of circumstances? It's not a hard requirement for this kind of plot, but the existence of great power allows both the opportunity to rise and fall, depending on how one utilizes that power. And this brings us to the result of the stumble, because to stumble is only a transitory state. When one begins to fall, there are two possible outcomes. One can rise from the brief misstep, or one can fall completely. Which is why I bring up Deku and Eren specifically, and why I called them two sides of the same coin. They exhibit the same kind of trope, and even the setup for it isn't that different, but their outcomes could not be more dramatically opposed. When Deku stumbled and went down a path of solitude, his friends succeeded in bringing him back. They were able to make him understand that he cannot do everything alone, and by understanding this, Deku can rise above his faults and become the greatest hero this world has ever seen. In contrast, Eren falls further and further into the fight. Say what you will about the ending of AOT and what it means for his character. There is no doubt at all that on some level he revels in what he has done. It's a lot like when Sasha's father is talking about her, saying how he tried to get her out of the forest, but the whole world was like the forest. Kill or be killed. She died because she stayed there too long. Similarly, that forest is all Eren has really known for a long time, the never-ending fight. And when he stumbled, he just never really got back up. Now obviously, the circumstances here between Deku and Eren are incredibly different. A big part of Eren's choices is that he was never provided an alternative that seemed logistically feasible, whereas Deku was basically at the edge of collapse and would have died in vain if he kept going at his current pace. But that's not really the point. The hero's stumble isn't just a trope that you'll sometimes find in your favorite media. We can all find ourselves stumbling, falling into pits of our own design, and when we do, we have the choice of falling ever deeper, never growing past our worst selves, or rising above it. And that is why these moments in fiction are so compelling. I mean, in Attack on Titan, the Marley arc is just one of the most popular arcs in the series. And while Deku's departure from the main cast was a controversial time for the series during the manga's run of it, the reception for Season 6 shows how much general audiences latched onto it. It's a trope that speaks to us deeply and leaves us in suspense. Will our heroes rise or fall? And what will become of them when they make their choice? And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did. In the meantime, who do you like more between Eren and Deku? Let me know in the comments below. Also, I just opened membership here, so join the channel if you want to support what I do. But for now, take care and I'll see you around.